Welcome back to One Comic Book a Day, where I'm doing this video for a second time because I had sound issues on Monday. Like, nothing got recorded because the microphone decided not to work. Usually it's because I forget to charge it, but this time it was because it wasn't working. On what was, I thought, a pretty good recording of the video, except that doesn't exist anymore, so we're going to have to deal with this one, which will always feel truncated because I've already talked about this issue. So today we are covering Adventure Comics 134, Silver Gloves Sellout. Now, this story reminds me sort of the bully story we just covered, which I got some amused comments about because how much I seem to hate the bully. I didn't hate the bully. I just wanted stuff to happen to the bully. Nothing like severe. The bully changes at the end by being rewarded, which is not exactly a bad thing, but there is no acknowledgement from the bully in that story that everything he had been doing in that story was wrong. I wanted some sort of comeuppance and maybe an apology. None of that actually happens in that story. A little more work needed to be done to earn his change of heart. You know, an arc can't just happen because right at the very end, something changes. An arc to a character should have stuff that's changing them throughout the story. And you don't get that in that story. Here, we have a similar idea with a character having an arc. Not one of our main characters. He's not even sure he has a name. He's the father of Tommy, who is more or less our protagonist outside of Superman. Superman, or Superboy in this comic, isn't actually in this story that often, and he doesn't feel all that important. It's kind of weird to say. He actually is in the story. I should say he feels like a side character most of the time. Here, Superboy is helping out Tommy, a young teenage boxer, helps him train, gets knocked out by him, pretends to be knocked out, makes him look really good. So he's like the odds-on favorite onto his next fight. But some guys, probably some racketeers, mobsters, some sort of illegal criminals, go to Tommy's dad, the character we were talking about with the arc, and convince him to tell his son to take a dive so they can make a lot of money on the match by Tommy losing. Very simple story. Superboy, for some reason, is the referee in this fight and notices something is wrong with Tommy. Now, Tommy, before this, does want to take the dive, but his dad slaps him at least once. So we have sort of a character with child abuse. Now, do we know he hits him all the time? Maybe this was a one-time thing, though one time is enough. We don't actually get a lot of their relationship. So the fact that I don't know his name. He probably had a name, but he's mostly just Tommy's dad. I don't have really a great feeling for him. He kind of just feels like a schlub with a meal ticket of a son. Is that true? I don't know. The story doesn't give us more because the story is more focused on the actual fight and mostly Superboy trying to help Tommy as Tommy is trying to take the dive, sort of. But watching his son get beaten, he starts to actually feel bad and doesn't want his son to take that dive anymore, which then leads to the bad guys, the antagonists, these gangster types, trying to cheat in the fight, which is really dumb to do when Superboy is literally right there in the ring. So we do have him somewhat feeling bad, having basic human empathy, which was missing from the bully in the last story. We never see him empathize. We just see him be mean until he's rewarded. That's my problem with that story. Here he feels bad about what's happening to his son. And Tommy, with Superboy stopping the cheating, it's entirely fine for him to help Tommy, even though Tommy's trying to take a dive and cheat for Tommy. It's completely wrong for anybody else to cheat. We have that old rule in a Superman story. He's the one that's allowed to cheat, because you can't call him on it. You cannot call him on it. Unless you have some kryptonite. But more often than not, the kryptonite's going to fail you in some way, and then you're in trouble. He's not going to murder you or anything. He's Superboy. You're possibly going to get thrown around really hard, though. And after Tommy wins, the guys kind of rush into the ring, and Tommy's father knocks him out, showing some progress on him. Here's the question I have been deliberating with. Is this enough? Has he gone through enough? Just watching his son get beaten, is that enough of a comeuppance? Is that enough to move his story? The thing is, maybe if it was just him asking his son to take the dive, the added bonus of child abuse is severe that I don't think it actually goes far enough to accept his emotional climax of standing with his son at the end. There needed to be more, and there was time for more. I've been complaining about the length here, but the length in this issue is mostly just focusing on the fight. We could have cut away from the fight. We didn't need that much of a boxing match. That wasn't the exciting bit. We could have cut one of Superboy helping him. We could have gone just to him refusing to dive and putting the gangsters putting something in the glove and spent more time with their relationship, and we could have possibly done something to make this feel more earned at the end. As it is, I probably like the story more than when I first read it, but it still has massive caveats, like a lot of the stories I like in the Golden Age. I wouldn't say I quite like this story. I think it's competent, and just barely competent. But I want more if you're going to have some sort of arc towards a character, especially one who has committed child abuse. Okay, that is it from Adventure Comics 134, Silver Gloves Sellout. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to get notifications when a new video goes up. I do this Monday through Friday, but Fridays is Bat Friday, where I cover a Batman story, either Detective Comics or Batman. And until next time, let's ponder the question, whatever did happen to the boy of tomorrow? And it's funny, Superboy misses the whole child abuse angle. He's generally pretty good at catching those things. Remember the first Superman comic where he stopped a guy from beating his wife? Better times. Also worse times for the storytelling, but better times. Okay, have a great day.